Welcome back, DIVEBOMB IndyCar Podcast, and the off-season slug continues. But a bit of news in the last week, which is Romain Grosjean will be racing for Juncos Holiday Racing next year in place of Callum Ilott. Fortunately, wasn't Ignacio Montenegro. Outrageous prediction was not quite correct. Grosjean is going to be the one racing the car this year. Obviously, he was removed by Andretti for performance-based reasons and some quite public outbursts. But yeah, that's the news of the week. Romain Grosjean is going to be with Juncos next year.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. I think for the series, I think that is my initial opinion. Obviously, Grosjean brings a big reach. He brings a lot of fans, obviously, over from Formula One from his time there. And I think it's good for the series to have a character like him who is obviously quite all action on track, and off track he has his moments as well. And there's a lot of depth we can go into with this. Maybe were there others more deserving, because at the end of the day, there's a lot of young drivers after seats, but at the same time, Grosjean has shown that he can deliver and deliver in this sort of environment as well. He showed that at Coin with a quote-unquote smaller team as Juncos are, but yeah, I mean, you'd think it's lower pressure, and you would maybe think the pressure was something that got to him a little bit at Andretti, just as the incidents kind of mounted. So, maybe there will be less pressure. He still said that there will be pressure on himself, but as much as you can be out of the spotlight as Romain Grosjean, maybe he will be a little bit less in the spotlight. Yeah, he's definitely someone who could lead Juncos forward. He's experienced. He's shown pace in IndyCar. He just needs to achieve that consistency, really, that has been missing. He hasn't been able to really put everything together during his time at Andretti, and he can't afford as many incidents as he's had. He has retired from over 25% of his races in IndyCar, which is extensive. Yes, he has 6 podiums, 3 of those coming with Coin, which could bode well for his time with Juncos. He also had 6 top 10s in that season with Coin in 13 races, because he missed 3 oval races. So, yeah, to finish only 33 points behind Rookie of the Year Scott McLaughlin, who was in the Penske that season, was impressive. There's all of these things we can reel off with Grosjean and say, you know what, he still deserves his place in IndyCar. But yes, it was disappointing at Andretti. 2 13th place championship finishes, less points in his second season, which it was disappointing when really he needed improvement. But yeah, I think he'll hope his rookie year with Coin will be the template for Juncos, and it's certainly an exciting acquisition.
It's an interesting one. I think it makes sense for Juncos. Is he a better choice than Ilott? Let's be honest here, the answer is no. But it's an interesting one. He thrived in his first season at Coin. There's 3 podiums in there, 4 top 5 finishes. Yes, he's very inconsistent, but his flashes of pace showed quite regularly. And his flashes of pace show, but they're not regular enough. And I think, as we mentioned, maybe with the pressure off his shoulders, maybe with less expectation, he might thrive in that environment. It just really remains to be seen. But I think Romain Grosjean is someone people want to see at the front of IndyCar, because, as you said, he's great for the series. He brings in a whole European fan base. I think it's indisputable that he brought in thousands of fans worldwide coming into the series in 2021, and people do like Grosjean. And particularly based in Europe. It will be interesting how he lines up against Canapino. Obviously, a lot less expectation, which I think will help him. Maybe the pressure is something he struggled with, and that's why we did see those outbursts, because the pressure was getting too much. So it's a bold move. I'm not sure whether it'll pay off. I mean, Juncos' performance is still yet to be seen. Was Ilott overperforming the small team that they are? Can Grosjean do the same? It remains to be seen. But I'm glad to see it happen, but I'm doubtful, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that makes sense to me.
Also, you've got to think, is if he's gone down to a, like you said, quote unquote smaller team, can he make his way up to a team as equivalent as Andretti again? Because he could do really well, but then is he going to be stuck at Juncos?
I think at this stage in his career, I don't imagine that he would get another headline move to one of the major teams. I think seeing how it sounds harsh because there were flashes of real good stuff, but it failed at Andretti and it failed quite badly in the end. And I just don't think any ambitious top team would really take him on board anymore.
I mean, yeah, you look at the driver market nowadays, and let's say you go to the top 4 McLaren. It's not someone McLaren would sign. You've got Andretti, obviously wouldn't go for him again. Penske, a Penske perfect. They want the best, and then you're looking at Ganassi, which I feel that's their lineup looks pretty secure for years to come, I think. So I think when you've had a top chance, you've got to take it, and especially at his age, that's not really going to be another full-time chance, I don't think. I mean, I think the suggestion is a 1-year deal for Juncos. We weren't told otherwise, so we're going to presume it's a 1-year deal just for the minute. So it's going to be a testing year. I think it's going to be make or break for Grosjean. I really think it will be. If he has the same issues as last year, I think he'll be at the door in 2024. If he thrives like he did at Coin, let's see where it takes him.
I was going to say, if he acts like he was in Andretti, and if he kind of lets all the pressure get to him and kind of just have the moments of, I don't know, he had sparks of brilliance at the beginning and then it just dropped off and it wasn't something that you want to see. So I feel like if he acts like he was in Andretti, then he's definitely not going to last long. I know that sounds harsh, but no team kind of wants that, especially like a smaller team. They're probably bringing him on for the experience and they want him to do well, and they're kind of hoping that he's going to get them high results. And so yeah, if he acts like he was before, he's not gonna last long.
Yeah, I think maybe we should probably get a little bit into the expectations, because the expectations will be lower than at Andretti, obviously, and maybe that's what benefited him at Coin. And while he didn't explicitly say anything about the less pressure, it might benefit me. As I said, he said that the pressure's always on. But he's aware. He's aware that the expectations. He can't set his own expectations as high, and the team won't be expecting him to go and get wins. He said he's not expecting to repeat his St. Pete pole, for instance. He said though that his experience will be valuable, and I think that's probably one reason the team have taken him on board, because as we covered last week, I personally don't feel they could have done any better than Ilott, but Grosjean's at least someone with that experience, a long time in F1. I think it was 179 races maybe. So yeah, he's aware of there will be a limit possibly to what he can achieve, and that elusive win might be hard to come by, but it'd be a great story if it did come, and he certainly sees potential in the team. I think he detailed that he wouldn't have moved there if he didn't feel he could be competitive, because at the end of the day, he left F1 because he didn't feel like there was anything competitive on the table for him. So, yeah, the expectations are probably not some top 10 finishes, and anything more is probably a bonus, really.
I don't know if the F1 statement's a bit of a stretch, because I can't see who would have offered him something in 2020. But anyway, that's a different topic. I think Grosjean's IndyCar career, actually, back on the F1 point, is very reflective of his F1 career. It started off very promising. Yes, he lacked real consistency at the start of his F1 career, like he had his IndyCar career, but there were flashes of brilliance. There was the odd podium there, the odd podium here. And then sort of as time went on, it just became a lot more difficult. There were these outbursts. There wasn't really anything substantial, which is very reflective of his IndyCar career as well, which is it's quite interesting to see the parallels between those two sort of careers for him. The expectation is going to be interesting. What is the expectation? Ilott got 2 top 5s. I think yes, both those races had certain circumstances from that happened. But what is the expectation of Grosjean? Top 10s on a regular basis? Beat Canapino comfortably?
I think just get the car in the leaders. Well, you've probably got to aim higher and get the car in the leaders. So
yeah.
Really,
Canapino did it in his rookie year.
Exactly.
Drive a single seater in his career.
Yeah, you've probably got to aim higher than that. I think finishing inside the top 15 on a regular basis, I think there's far too many times. As I said, Grosjean has retired. I think it's 12 of his 47 in races in IndyCar, which is a huge amount. That's a quarter. Yeah, at the end of the day, it's over a quarter of his races. So finish races first of all on a consistent basis and not have so many retirements for Grosjean should be an aim personally for him. But I think for the team, the expectation of him is, I reckon, inside the top 15 regularly, notch those points consistently, and where he can get inside the top 10. Really, it's, as you said, a hard one to judge though, because
I mean, to be fair, Ilott only got 3 top 10 finishes last year. So which are the bookends of both seasons. So maybe top 15s, I guess. Maybe it's not really say the best of the rest, but toward, in front of the Foyts, in front of your coins, in front of your Shanks. It's that sort of lot, I guess.
Yeah, I think so.
So yeah, I think top 15 in the championship should be reasonable. Ilott finished 16th, so I don't see, with someone of Grosjean's experience, I don't think that should be particularly that's achievable. I think that's a good target. Obviously, we don't know what he's going to be aiming for, but I think the main thing is going to be show the consistency. Don't have your outbursts at your engineers. He's not bringing Olivier Ross on like he did from Coin. He's got a new engineer for this season, next season, sorry. And he just needs to stop these mistakes. I mean, I think partially maybe Grosjean was pushing too much when he was in these positions, like he was at Toronto, like he was at Detroit. But maybe now the pressure's off, and there is a bit less to play for. That these errors won't be as common. Let's hope so at the very least.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we don't want to see the relationship tested in the way it was at Andretti, and I think it's quite a pertinent point we should probably come on to be honest, because it's kind of fire meeting fire in many ways, because Grosjean was obviously quite an outspoken character at Andretti, and that relationships became tense, and obviously you've got the whole Ilott situation that again sort of stem from tensions inside the team. So tensions can't be allowed to rise, and I guess that's one risk with taking Grosjean on board, given they have recently struggled with those frayed relationship really with Ilott. And I think Grosjean's aware that this is the case, and I think on his side he just needs to maybe take accountability a bit more. I think that's something we've spoken about after incidents. He often tries to shift the blame a little bit, and maybe at times that things aren't his fault, but he probably needs to be a bit more of a team player. He said in the press conference that he wants to avoid explosion. I think they were more or less his words, and he said we may be surprised in good, maybe surprised in bad. So he's aware that it could take a turn for the worse, and he said that he's always trying to improve because he's aware of these questions, and at least that's a sign of him maybe being a bit more accountable. So yeah, he feels he's got a good relationship with Ricardo Juncos already. They spent time together in Austin at the F1 race. I think Canapino was there as well. So yeah, it's going to be crucial that Grosjean maybe just calms down a little bit, but this has always been what Grosjean's been like, so whether that will happen is, unclear.
Yeah. I think the other interesting dynamic is what it's going to be like in the team. We've obviously touched on what happened to Ilott, and I don't think it's necessary to touch on it again. But Ricardo Juncos has a preference towards Canapino. I think that's fairly clear. How will Grosjean deal with that? Is he going to be the top man in Juncos? Is he going to be seen as the team leader? That's going to be an interesting dynamic there. Will Grosjean be happy if he's not the team leader? I'm not really sure, because I feel like in Coin he kind of was with the reputation he brings in, but Canapino is a cult hero almost in every way. So that's going to be another interesting one to keep our eye out for.
Or maybe they'll start it like as the equal and kind of see how the season starts and whatever, and then whoever's ahead, that might be the one ahead. I don't know. It depends what they're doing, because I haven't seen him talking about who's going to be the number one driver, but I'd reckon that's what you do when someone's going on.
Do we think he'll beat Canapino?
I mean, the expert, he's got to beat Canapino, really. A guy in the second season of single-seater racing. Grosjean, this is now his 4th year of IndyCar, and his racing career obviously goes much further back than that. So he absolutely has to beat Canapino. Otherwise, there would be serious questions asked, I think.
Yeah. Do you think he will, though?
I think he will. I think he will. I think just looking at how it went at Coin and how quickly it went well as well. It didn't take him any time to really get.
He got pole. It's like his third race or something.
Yeah, I think it was his third race, pole, podium on the Indy Road Course. So, yeah, I personally think it shouldn't take him much time to kind of get down to business, really. And yeah, you'd expect him to beat Canapino. That's no disrespect to Canapino. He did an outstanding job last season. But yeah, come on, I think Grosjean has to beat him.
Yeah, I think the expectation is that he has to beat him, though. It's just like I said, the experience that he's had, and he's further into the season. So like, I don't know. If I feel like Juncos is his last chance, and if he doesn't beat Canapino, then it's kind of gonna look a bit like weird on his half.
It will be interesting to see if Canapino and Grosjean do come to blows on track, and there's no guarantees that will happen, but how Grosjean, at the end of the day, really deals with that. This isn't to say Ilott dealt with it in the wrong way or anything. At the end of the day, he's receiving death threats, and that's obviously going to take its toll. And Grosjean seemed to think, he feels like he's thick-skinned. He said he obviously feels for what Callum went through, and has a lot of sympathy for him. But yeah, Grosjean feels he's got the years behind him, I think, in his career, and maybe can deal with any toxicity that may end up coming his way. But yeah, his mindset's quite a good one, actually. He said, some people don't like me, fine by me. That's it. It's a clear approach from him, and he says that he's able to stay off social media if those comments, do end up coming his way. He's off on the front foot. I mean, he was full of praise in the press conference for Canapino, speaking about just what a job he did, and that's saying a lot coming from someone of Grosjean's experience. But yeah, it will be interesting to see if that does happen, how Grosjean ends up dealing with it, and at the same time, if the team learn from their mistakes with Ilott and actually react quicker and in a much more respectable way, if there is to be, that sort of threat and level of abuse towards Grosjean.
Yeah, let's hope it doesn't happen. We can't have a French-Argentine war.
No, absolutely. And Grosjean is learning Spanish, he said as well. He's doing Duolingo courses, given the Argentine roots at the team. The best quote of all I think he gave was, "I can say women are drinking milk and the kids are reading the newspaper."
Sounds like Grosjean's family life, to be honest. Who knows? So it's still going to have to haul the RV around. Well, the RV is called a Raúl, isn't it? Which is a bit Spanish. So
it is a bit Spanish. And he's living in Miami as well, and there's some Spanish roots in Miami.
Yeah, it's been Spanish all along. We've had no idea. It was a move destined. Time for the random bits and news of off-season that we pick out. Let's go through Kiffin Simpson. Has anyone seen his testing program?
I can't say I have, no.
Because it is extreme. So this month alone, end of last month, he did a 2-day IndyCar test at the road course. Yesterday, on the day of recording, he did a WEC test in one of the hypercars. I think it was for Cadillac, but I might be wrong.
Yes, it was for Cadillac. I did see that. It was for
Cadillac. Perfect. And then he's testing a Formula 2 car next week. Then he's running in a World Series machine. I'm not really sure what that is. I think I know what it is, but it's kind of like an F2 level car. He's testing that the week after. Then he's testing an F2 car another 3 days after that. And then a week after that, he's testing an IndyCar on the road course at Homestead.
That is...
It's extreme.
Do we know why he's testing an F2 car?
I don't know. I think, I'm looking at the press release, and I think the theory is the F2 guys did quite well coming into the IndyCar, so maybe it's a good learning tool, but I'm not really sure. If you feel like an IndyCar would be more beneficial to test than a F2 car for an IndyCar seat, but I'm not team principal, so I don't know. There you are. That's a pretty extreme program. So, yeah.
That's putting it lightly, I think.
Interestingly, yeah. I don't think we've ever seen anything like that. Well, it's not quite Lance Stroll, whose dad made up made up his own series for him to compete at. That's a long time ago. Florida Winter Series, if you're interested, 2015. Will
Cool.
Buxton racing the same grid as Max Verstappen? Ex-IndyCar legend Will Buxton. There you are.
Yep.
Random nugget of the day.
Nice.
Right, what other nuggets have we got from the week?
Marcus Armstrong is going to be
Yes.
competing at Macau in an F3 car.
Which was a bit random.
Bit random, but they do sometimes have, drivers who are now past F3. Dan Tixom, Richard Shaw are also racing.
I think there's some others. Probably can't tell you them though. But yeah, but that was
Yeah, no, there are
left
more.
field.
I'll get the entry list up.
Yeah, a left field shout. I mean, he hasn't raced in Formula 3 since 2019. So it's been a good 4 years since Armstrong's been an F4 car. Sorry, an F3 car. So a surprising one. So he's racing with MP Motorsport, who won Macau the last time they went out there. So you never know. And he's got a bit more experience than the rest of the field. But yeah, you've got a Formula E driver in there. You've got an IndyCar driver. You've got an F2 driver. So you've got a nice mix in there. So I don't know how we do, but that's pretty exciting, I reckon.
He's probably got a shot. I know he's not been in F3 machinery for a while, but experienced driver.
Street circuit.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah, so it's the 19th of November. Keep your eye out. A random call up. NASCAR. Let's do a bit of NASCAR, shall we? Roger Penske was at the NASCAR to see Ryan Blaney take it home for Penske.
Yep, Scott McLaughlin was there watching, and looks like Joseph Newgarden has
He's lost a bad bet.
Quite stupidly said that if Blaney won the championship, he would get his face tattooed on his thigh. So it now looks like Joseph is going to end up with Ryan Blaney's face on his thigh, which will be interesting, to say the least.
Yeah, it's a weird one. I can't say. I mean, I don't really know what Joe's thinking, because the way NASCAR works, Blaney already had a 25% chance of winning, and his record at Phoenix is absolutely ridiculous. So I don't know why Joe's has said that, expecting him not to win or something, but there we are. Oh, I've got some important stuff, ladies and gents.
Oh,
Are you ready for this?
let's go.
Tell us.
Mid-Ohio got repaved.
That's I forgot about that actually.
It did.
The thing is, will it be like Road America? Because that
Wow.
was perfectly fine after the repave, or will it be like Laguna?
Well, what we learned last season is AJ40 Racing suddenly turned into Team Penske when it comes to a repave surface. So we'll see what Ferrucci does. I think Ferrucci, his two Fast 12 that's on the D500 were both on the repaves, and then Peterson got one on the repave. So you never quite know. Might work out. There we are. That's that news. But you can tell we are struggling here. We are really, really struggling now. Juncos did do us well this week. I mean, if it was Ignacio Montenegro, we'd have a 2-hour-long podcast. So.
Yeah, for sure.
Raving about a wild prediction.
I mean, listeners, if you have anything, you want us to discuss, or just any ideas for us, then please let us know.
Yeah. So, I think we'll wrap ourselves up before we just get completely lost. So, if you've got this far, I really do appreciate you listening, because you've got through a lot. And if you're on YouTube, even better, because you can't. Well, unless you've got premium, you can't. You're stuck there. So well done if you've got this far. We do appreciate it. Looking at next week, we might actually have something planned. So stay tuned. It's going to be quite a fun episode next week if we can organise it. So please do stay tuned, because it's going to be quite a fun one. So, and then we'll have 2 weeks of off-seasoning content to get through. So we have a good strategy. So keep your eyes peeled. And as I said, thank you very much if you got this far, and we will see you next time.